And here's what blew my mind. Okay. This is when I really started to wake up. So out of recruiting or helping all those people, 238 people in 2016, it says you currently have 11 customers on Shakeology Home Direct. 11 girl, that's exhausting. 11 people out of 238. I'm tired. I'm tired. And then it gets better. It gets better. So you were in like a year then?
So I was with Beachbody only for 6 months. So yeah,
okay.
from early fall of 2015, because I got the year wrong. I said 2016 initially, but it was 2015, and then left the spring of 2016. So about 6 months. Still didn't get my refund on my Shakeology return. I returned the product. They still never refunded me, but you know.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, sadly. It's so shady. Oh, but you should report that to the FTC. Like, you should. I want all of them shut down.
I still have my email, like the whole email thread, like talking to them, and like it's like they just didn't care. They just stopped responding at one point. And honestly, with everything that was going on in my personal life, I was just like, that's the smallest battle that I need to worry about right now. And I worked, I went back to working full time. At the time that I became a Beachbody coach, I was only working part time. And so it was nice to, the thought of making extra income so that I can still stay working part-time, the 12-hour shifts. And the reason why is because my RA was so bad. I was in so much pain just walking that when you work 12-hour shifts as a nurse, and the unit that I was working on has these long hallways, I was like, I don't want to work any more than I need to, because I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
So
I was the same. I have 2 best friends who are nurses, and I'm like, I could never do what they do as RNs. And I was in so much pain as a hairstylist, with not only my fibromyalgia, but I have a neck injury that causes chronic pain every day. And so, yeah, the thought and the promise of working from home was very alluring.
Yeah, it was, very alluring. Exactly. And what was interesting was I signed on, agreed to do the Shakeology, signed on as a discount coach, and then the idea of building a business out of it was appealing. And I thought the Shakeology was going to help with my RA. It turned out it didn't help. I was taking more pain medications than ever. And it didn't help with the inflammation. When I finally got a PCP and they ran lab work, and then my hemoglobin was 6, there was like no rhyme or reason why. They assumed it was because I was taking a lot of the anti-inflammatories and I had like a GI bleed, but they did all of the scopes, like the colonoscopy and the endoscopy. I even swallowed a little camera that, would check my small intestines. There was nothing. There's no rhyme or reason. And then that's when I was like, Shakeology isn't as nutritious as they're claiming it to be. It's not doing anything. It's not helping with my symptoms. And it's clearly messing with my lab values. Potentially. I can only say I'm speculating.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Not claiming that it is, but it definitely didn't help my lab values any.
Right. And that's a tactic that they use. I don't know if you noticed that, but like when you tried to return it and they constantly went back and forth with you in email, that's a tactic that many cults use, that to wear you down, to where you're like, this isn't even worth my time. And then they're not held accountable.
Yeah. I had a viewer on my one of my initial Beachbody videos that says you should still report them to the Better Business Bureau for not refunding your money. And I'm like, yeah, I should. But I'm a procrastinator.
Yeah, same.
So I have yet to still do that, even at the advice of my own viewers.
Absolutely same. I know for me, like, and I was in way longer. I was in almost 6 years with MLMs, but I was with Beachbody for over 3 years. But I always say, like, cults are always fun in the beginning. Like, it's always like, you know, about like the good times, what you're doing to help yourself, help others. And then as you get deeper in, it's just like, oh my gosh. And I remember when I first started like being introduced to Eric Worre through GoPro, his book, which for those not familiar, GoPro is like the #1 recommended MLM book or I should say book for MLMers. And I don't know if you read it. Did you read that?
No, I didn't read that one.
So, but you probably know who he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember listening to that book and I didn't even really think about it until after I got out, how crazy it was. But he says that you need to tell your family that for 3 months, they're not going to see you. You're not going to be around. That you need to act like you are a military person on deployment. And
Wow.
you need to put your head down and work this business because it can change your life and it will get you financial freedom. But you need to explain to your family that for 3 months, you're not going to be around so that you can give your all to this business to make a better life for them. Which is crazy, right? But like you get so wrapped up in that thought of like financial freedom and like, at least I did. And looking back now, I'm like, that's psychotic. If my husband was like, babe, I'm not going to be around for 3 months. I'm not going to be able to do the dishes. I'm not going to be able to take out the trash. Like, I got to work this business to provide for us. I'd be like, bye.
Right. It's definitely like isolating. They're trying to isolate the people so that they can further brainwash. That's what it sounds like to me, not having read the book.
Absolutely. What is your, like when you got out and in hindsight, which even looking back now, years later, I'm still recognizing things that I'm like, oh, that was awful. Like, did you have any awakenings where you were just like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. I can't believe I like put up with that or like didn't think anything about it at the time.
Coming from my upline, I guess I would have to think about that a little bit more, but definitely the time commitments that they were pushing on me to just continually work the business. That was and again, no boundaries with regards to my personal time and when I should, you know, just turn the phone off or turn the social media off. Like they just really wanted me to keep, especially being new, and especially when I hit Emerald, because they wanted to keep the momentum going, to just, you know, keep responding, keep replying, you know, keep reaching out. So that was a big, like, what was I thinking? Like, I need to have healthy boundaries with, you know, social media. Even to this day, it's like a balance between, you know, when I'm choosing to prepare and record and edit videos for YouTube, to have that balance, like put that in its little
Box. Yeah.
box in my life, but like not make that my entire priority. Because again, I'm doing this as a hobby. It's not going to be like an income generating thing for me. But it's you know, I got to balance that with like my personal life, because my fiance, he deserves my time too in the evening. And if I'm sitting there like just editing a video, you know, there are going to be times where I say like, hey, I really want to edit this video so I can get it uploaded by this time. Then at least I'm communicating that with him, but I'm not making, you know, so then me realizing that there is, I do have to have boundaries. I have to, you know, prioritize many aspects of my life and not make one thing the priority.
Yes, absolutely. Which is hard to do because I feel like I have like that extremist mindset that I try and like fight against because I just want to like dive all in and I could sit at the computer all day for hours and hours, but that's not healthy. And I look back on my time in, you know, multi-level marketing and I just think like, oh my gosh, like they encourage you to hire a housekeeper, to hire people to clean, to hire a nanny so that you can work your business for the promise of financial freedom. And it's like,
Yeah,
you
that's
had to
more
be,
expensive. Those are more expenses, right?
yeah. Even when I was making a lot of money, I was just like, I remember I hired a house cleaner for like a month. And then I was like, I don't like this. Nothing wrong with house cleaners. Don't get me wrong at all. But I was just like, I was a single woman living on my own at the time. And I was like, you know, like I can take a break from the computer to like do something. But that's the thing, like anytime I would take a break to even like tidy up the house or something, like I felt like I should have been working on my business.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. You're brainwashed to think that it's all about the business.
Absolutely, because it's there, and there's always that. At least for me, I always felt that like urgency, like you have to get in and like do things now, 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 now. So if you receive a message at 10 p.m. at night, well, you need to take it because they might change their mind tomorrow. You might lose the sale.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I was like, I'd be like laying there messaging people while I was in bed trying to unwind, but like getting more wound up because I'm
Yes,
trying to converse with these potential downline coaches, potential.
yes.
Um, and you know, my husband at the time is just like getting frustrated at me and like rolling over because he's tired of seeing like the screen illumination.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I have to work. I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning the next morning to go to work. And I'm sitting here, it's midnight, and I'm like trying to have this conversation with somebody who, you know, is still up as well, but maybe doesn't have the same, you know, work
Yeah.
commitments that I did at the time. And so it was totally, yeah, just a huge imbalance of like my time management and my personal life, you know, prioritizing what's really important to me, like living my life, like and the people around me. Now, don't get me wrong, my relationship with my husband at the time was bad, so it just didn't help that I was spending so much time connecting with other people when I could have been connecting with him,
Right.
you know.
I get it.
Um, yeah, and it's just, but I'm the same way. Like when I was going for my competitions with bodybuilding, like I was just like, let's hit the gym, let's do my macros, like trying to get them to a T. I can be very like type A personality when I have a goal and I'm trying to reach it.
Yep.
So it's nice to have, you know, I had to realize after, you know, the competition was done, I'm like, I have to realize that I need to just be a little bit more balanced, you know.
Right. Absolutely. And I found like always have this feeling that like because for a long time I would get so annoyed to even open my phone because I knew I was going to see one of those little messenger bubbles, you know, the chat heads like on the screen just and I ended up turning them off for a long time because it was this constant anxiety that it was like, oh my gosh, there's going to be messages. I need to return these messages. And like, I could never even just get on my phone just to like enjoy 5 minutes of my own time without feeling like I had to send messages or return them because there were zero boundaries and that they don't want boundaries. MLMs do not want you to have boundaries
Yeah,
whatsoever.
and you see that as being like a sales tactic. Like you're on your phone scrolling anyways, you might as well be making money. But it's like, no, you're not on your phone just scrolling because you have leisurely time. Like when you are doing it to work the business of MLM, you're working. There's nothing casual or leisurely about it. You're
Yeah.
you're you're trying to. Even I was taught by my coach. She, you know, hosted like a Zoom type meeting. I don't know what platform it was at the time because this was 2016. She was like, you know, showing on her iPad, like, this is what I do to try and find potential people. I type in this, you know, hashtag, and then I scroll through, and she's just showing me how she's scrolling through all these different like pictures, and then she chooses a picture she likes, she taps on it, and she just likes their random 5 pictures. Usually it's like their latest 5 that they've posted on. This is all on Instagram. And then she shoots them a cold message. And she's like, and then you just do this and you try to hit like 10 people a day and see, you know, or some sort of obscure number, but it was like a lot, you know, So when you're not, when you're not just like reaching out to your challenge group participants, talking to other people like on Facebook or whatever, and then posting your social media posts, then you're going through and trying to find people to cold message. And that's something I'm really embarrassed about when I look back. The type of people, because I typed in like, you know, fit nurse, because I'm a nurse and I was trying to promote fitness and health and everything. But then I also typed in like other hashtags that, you know, like my upline were using. And I just am embarrassed that I was using that kind of technique and like liking a bunch of their photos. Nothing genuine about it, right? Like I didn't like, I was just looking at them as a potential customer,
Right.
if not somebody that I can recruit. And most of the time I was getting that not interested message, because like, I'm glad that those people just saw right through it. I can honestly say I didn't get a single stranger like to sign up or to participate in my challenge groups or like buy anything from me, because it just, I don't like, I'm very uncomfortable with the cold messaging, but I didn't. I was very uncomfortable. I used to work as a for a pest control company where we would have to call them and say, you know, these are people signed up for our monthly pest control or bi-monthly or quarterly, you know, pest control services already. So they're already customers.
Right.
And I felt uncomfortable printing out the list every morning and calling them and saying, hey, when would you like to sign up for your, you know, and they're already customers.
Right.
But
Those were people who gave consent for you to call, and it still felt uncomfortable.
And I still felt uncomfortable about it. So for me, I don't like, you know, cold messaging people. It's one thing if people were to come to me and then I just share something that I really enjoy or something that works for me. But for me to like go out and be like, hey, you look like you can lose weight. Like, honestly, I would be so appalled and insulted. And so it embarrasses me when I look back at my behavior, just doing what my upline told me to do, to be like, I was that person. I insulted all of those women that didn't deserve it that day.
But show yourself grace, because for one, you're aware of it, right? You're aware of it. And two, you're out, and now we're in the anti-MLM community trying to make it right.
Right. That's the thing. It's like, I want to spread the awareness. Like, it's not just like, you know, and again, that's why I do like to say, like, we have to be nice when we respond to these people, because they're just doing what they're being told. I know, because I was one of them.
Yeah, well, I believe that everybody in an MLM is a victim. And those at the very top of the pyramid, excluding the CEO, they've just been indoctrinated longer.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's why I think it's very important for you to be speaking out on it, because you, like you said in your video, like, you've seen behind the curtain. You know what it's like. And I think that it's a really amazing that you are finally speaking up about it, because I mean, and I'm guilty of it myself, being like, oh, the people at the top, they're just as bad. But to have your perspective and be like, no, you're indoctrinated in it. It was all, you know, rainbows and unicorns in the beginning, just like it feels like with everyone else on the bottom. Yeah. You know, it's really important that people who've never been part of MLM can know that as well, so that we're not just hating on the Huns or hating on the people at the top, but like really the anger can go towards the CEOs who created this business structure for their business.
Right. Or the Sheffield Group, the company that teaches people how to have an MLM and run an MLM. And yeah, absolutely. And being out of it now, I can totally see how they would think like, oh, the people at the top are evil. I get it. Because if you haven't been there, you know, you don't understand. But that was like why I had to speak out, because I'm like, none of these people at the top are happy. And I saw that in 3 different companies. Nobody was happy. And that blew me away, because I was just like, what are we working so hard for? You know, I mean, it was just like, it just was very eye-opening. And I saw a lot of those sales tactics I really hated. I never cold messaged people, but I had a larger network. But you will always start running out of your network. Eventually you will run out. And then what they don't tell you is like, oh, well, you'll need to run ads. Like, they won't tell you that before you join, but once you're inside, they're like, well, you need to learn how to grow your network. You should do X, Y, and Z. You should start running ads. So I remember paying like over $300 for a Facebook ads course, to try and figure stuff out. And running ads is stressful. That's not an easy thing. And I remember right before I walked away, it was probably like 6 months before I was like completely done, maybe less than that, probably 3 months before I was completely done. I remember seeing a new technique that I had not seen them do with sales, because obviously it was like the cold message, like you said, go through, look for the hashtags, find the hashtags. Those are like-minded people like you, click on their photos. That one has well played out, or was very well played out. But this one, what they would do is somebody would post a picture and say like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love this product. It's helped me lose 10 pounds. And they would show the product, but not show you the label. So you couldn't research what it was. But then they would have distributors commenting below saying, I want more info. Send me more info. People from the team doing that. And because they were the person who would say like, who made the post would say like, if you want more info on how to try this product, to get it, let me know. And they would all go comment below to make it look like it was a hot product that people actually wanted, and that they were just random people who saw the post in the newsfeed. And I could not believe that was happening.
Wow. I've actually seen those, and like, then I would comment like, this is an MLM.
Good for you.
I would be like the only person out of a sea of, send me more info. I'm like, yes, please. Or like, can I be part of your team? Especially if it was like a team call out, like, oh, be part of my team, learn how to be your own boss, babe, whatever it was.
Oh my gosh.
So that's interesting that that's what you were seeing, because I do see that even to this day, like being practiced.
Yeah, because that's a technique that I've only seen being used probably in the last, since I would say 2018. And I was just like appalled, because obviously when you're at the top and you have a large team, you need to be studying as much sales tactics and whatever as you can and strategy, so you can teach your team, which is also exhausting, but you want to help them succeed. And so when I saw that, I was just like, no, like that's awful. Like, don't do that. That is just horrible.
It probably gives those people that FOMO. Like, if they see all these people interested, what are they missing out on, right?
Yes. And that's why I always, when I start getting angry about the time I spent in multi-level marketing and like everything I could have used that energy for, I have to remind myself to be like kind to myself about it, because if I hadn't have joined when I did, I probably would have joined later on, because some of them can be very convincing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is so hard.
You probably did learn, like, it sounds, you learned marketing tools and techniques and stuff. So there was some good that came out of it, right?
I learned what to look out for. Let's just say. I learned what to look at. And I remember when I was out, I was like, well, what should I do now? Like, maybe I'll go to, college and get a degree in marketing. Like, and then like the more I just became aware of what marketing actually is, I was just like, this feels like a bunch of lies. This reminds me too much of an MLM.
Yeah, marketing is, it's very deceptive, obviously.
Yeah, I was just like, I want to get away from all this capitalistic stuff, right? I just need to get away from it and breathe. So tell me, like, what happened when you left the MLM? When you were like, okay, I'm done, I'm leaving. How did that go? How did people treat you?
Yeah, so when I left, so I had slowed down and I was getting those regular messages from my coach, like, how are you doing? And then, initially it was like every day. And then eventually I think she was like losing hope in me. Because then it just became like once a week. She's like, hey, just checking in. How are you doing? Do you feel like because at first I was like, I'm going through this, divorce right now. And I need to, like, I can't do this particular challenge group this time. And I was still thinking like, hopefully after the divorce is finalized, I can, get it, return to, picking up where I left off and everything like that. And she's like, okay, well, take the time that you need, and, you know, I'll be thinking about you. But she would check in on me every like week, probably just so that I wouldn't forget about the business. And then honestly, I was just so, my priorities were so different that I didn't even like tell her. I just canceled my Shakeology subscription, and I returned the bag that I had. And then that was it. Like, I didn't tell her, like, I'm officially just not going to do it anymore. That was probably rude of me because she had been so nice, but at the same time, I'm just an opportunity for her. So I was like, I don't really owe her anything. Like, we're not really friends. You know, she lived like, I think in Atlanta or something like that. So like, we're not even like near each other. So I was just like, I don't really owe her an explanation. So I just canceled the subscription, and then I never heard from her again. But she never blocked me from anything. So that's, I guess, a good sign. Like, she didn't have any animosity towards me. She probably saw it coming though, because I did let her know, like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And then she was checking in, and every once in a while I would like give her an update, but there wasn't any like animosity back towards me. Now, going back on like Facebook and actually interacting with people that I cold message, you know, old classmates from high school, you know, yeah, I was that girl. I actually like ran into one just last summer at a local grocery store. And I had just left the gym, and I was just picking up a quick snack. And then this previous classmate, who I know, I had reached out to her regarding the opportunity challenger. She was in line at the deli, and I was so embarrassed, just because I know that was her last impression of me, that I was like, I'm gonna leave. So if there's ever like a high school reunion, I'm sure.
You poor thing. I get it. I think about like the post I made when I was in, I'm like, oh my God, like people must think I am just a complete idiot.
Yeah. And I actually, when I look back, especially as I do my series, I'm trying to find my old like social media posts and everything, because that was part of my homework every time, post like at least 3 to 5 times a day, not always about Shakeology or always about Beachbody. But I remember like going through, and there was actually this colleague of my brother's who's a legit personal trainer, and she's also a legit personal trainer. And she would like my posts, even though she knew that I was in Beachbody. She just is always like supportive of me, even though I've never actually met her, but she knows my brother. She's worked with my brother, and I've worked with my brother and got results. But she's always been supportive and liked my posts. But when I posted why I quit Shakeology, and I made a big Instagram post about it, and then when I posted like anti-MLM things on Facebook, she is like, hallelujah. She was like liking my posts, giving me support when I was in Beachbody, but she's excited that I'm like anti-MLM now. And
how funny.
To be like, okay, good. I don't know.
That's hilarious. That's good though that you received that. I had put on my when my husband, he's a personal trainer, and I was a certified nutritionist, and we had made a plan last year that was like, an entire meal plan for basically counting your macros with insulin resistance. And we did that. We put together a fitness plan that was weightlifting, and we were selling it. And at the end of every post that I would make about it, I would say there's absolutely no product you need to buy for this nutrition plan or meal plan other than regular groceries. And I am not involved in an MLM, and I never will be again. And just having that little disclaimer at the bottom, I had several people like attack me in the comments. Like, They were just like, why are you hating on women trying to better their lives and make money? And I was just like, you can't argue with people who are still in a commercial cult about their commercial cult. It just doesn't work.
That holiday time was just a cluster on Facebook for like helping small businesses, and like for this Christmas, buy something from a small business and help your local small business out. When we now know, like I now know, I didn't have my own business. It wasn't a small business. but I was like in on that. And I was just like, I'll buy, this skin product from you if you buy this workout program from me. We're trying to barter. Never
Yeah,
happened.
so like nobody's making money because the money you make's going to spend it on somebody else. It's a complete cluster.
Yeah, exactly. But I remember specifically, winter, Christmas of 2015. It was just, that's all of my Facebook was, it was just exploding of MLM businesses posts, and they would actually use a lot of my my posts with just like phrases or words and pictures. They would actually like steal those for theirs. I'm like, I told my coach, I told my upline about it. And she's like, well, take that as flattery. She's like, but if they're using your image, then that's like furthering your exposure. And I'm like, no, they're just taking the picture. That's not me.
I remember 2015 because 2015 was the last good year I had in an MLM. And you're right, like 2015, it was blowing up. I recruited like over 300 coaches that year alone.
That's insane.
I mean, it was ridiculous. And and it was blowing up. And then I remember thinking like when I was starting to get like 2018 was when I was just like, nothing's going to change with a new company. Like all these companies are the same. And I was getting very disillusioned with it. I remember thinking that it would die out, that the MLM industry would die because it was so saturated. Like literally, I don't even bother scrolling the newsfeed anymore. I only scroll the group newsfeed of the groups that I'm in because my newsfeed is just either saturated with people angry about politics or they're in an MLM trying to shill their stuff. And I'm shocked at how rampant it's become.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. When I was watching your video, I was like, yeah, it's so true. Like you would think by now, especially with how much anti-MLM knowledge there is spreading around, that things would be like, it would just die.
Yeah.
It's such a huge business to this day. And it just blows my mind. But I mean, I think that's why we're doing what we're doing though, right? We're just trying to spread the knowledge, spread the word that they're all the same, and 99.7% of people are going to fail or lose money. I'm curious though, you recruited 300 people. Were you keeping track of how many people would like quit or cancel after?
Yeah, hold on, let me pull this out. Okay. Ugh. Okay, let me get in here because I was looking for some paperwork the other week. And I found something that blew me away. It was, I don't know if you remember, did you remember getting an email that was like your yearly coach report that showed how you did the previous year?
I got something like that, but because I was in it for such a short period of time, and it was like literally like the end of 2015 and the beginning of 2016, it was like nothing.
So they didn't start sending those out until I want to say the beginning of 2016. I don't remember receiving one in 2015, but so I was going through old paperwork and I found this. So it's your 2016 year report, and it goes over. So this is for 2016, and that was the year I told you, that things started like really going downhill in 2016, and we were having less sales. Like it was just not going well. That's why people were looking for another MLM to also work. So it says, congratulations, you helped 238 people in 2016. For comparison, you helped 381 people in 2015. Okay.
Wow.
So that's a change. And then it said in 2016, I had 187 Success Club points, but that is compared to 2015, I had 307 Success Club points. So it was like really going downhill. And here's what blew my mind. Okay, this is when I really started to wake up. So out of recruiting or helping all those people, 238 people in 2016, it says you currently have 11 customers on Shakeology Home Direct. 11, girl, that's exhausting. 11 people. Out of 238, I'm tired. I'm tired. And then no, it gets better. It gets better. So it says, do you see this effing number? 2.4, okay? The average number of months your customers have stayed on Shakeology in 2016.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that you have that, because that is so, when I don't know if you watched it, but when I did the Becoming a Beachbody Coach, What is Success Club? And I never reached Success Club. So it's all like, this is what they tell me about it. This is what I like read about it, but I'm not personally being in it. But I remember I was like, one of the points I was making, like, that's a lot of work to sign people up for not a lot of payout. And then
but you could have had 11 people stay.
Yeah, when you show me that, it's like, see, it's a lot of work. And you're like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, yeah, you had to recruit 300 and X amount of people, and you only have 11 people still on it.
It's just insulting. So then it says so I got even more. Okay, so those were all the customers. So the numbers that I gave you for helping 200 and something people in 2016 and then helping 300 and something people in 2015, those were customers. Okay. So in 2016, it said I was wrong earlier. I recruited 39 coaches in 2016. In 2015, I recruited 89 coaches. Okay. But then get this is where it gets even worse. Okay. So 5.6. The average number of months your PS coaches stayed on Shakeology. 5.5 months. So that's when I was like waking up. I'm like, this is never going to get better. There's always going to be this massive attrition where people just come in and then leave, and you're basically building a deck of cards, like a house of cards.
Yeah. And it's a revolving, that bottom is constantly, people falling off, whether it's 2 months or 5.6 months. They're like, nope, not today. And then you also have to recruit, get more people, spend money on advertising, spend money on sponsored posts. Constant expenses. You think you're rolling in the dough until you add up all the time and money that you're spending.
Yeah. So this will give a good example for people who are like, oh, you can make it, you can do well in MLM, you just have to work hard. So in 2016, it says that 2016 was the year I made 6 figures in 1 year. That was it 2016? Yeah, it was 2016. And it says 29% of your PS coaches, 29% earned Success Club points in 2016. Only 29%. Like these numbers, I'm telling you, like I didn't get this back in 2015 because these numbers would have scared the heck out of me. Like that's when I was just like, that was when I woke up and I started thinking, I feel like I am recruiting people to fail.
Yeah. But it takes somebody to kind of awaken to realize that. The people that are still like hard driven and they're not like looking at the actual facts and figures as they are in black and white or green color, whatever you're pronouncing. They're just, and then they don't want to, like you said, you get indoctrinated. You don't want to lose the kind of lifestyle that you have when you're that high up on the top. You don't want to let all these people down that you've recruited, or let your upline down.
Yeah. And that was the year, like 2016, even though I had made more, that was the year when they were like, oh, the IRS says you owe $11,500 because you didn't pay quarterlies. Now you have back taxes and all these penalties to pay. And it was like, why didn't anybody tell me? And there was that. I was already becoming disillusioned because I remember in like summer of 2016, having a chat with my upline on the phone, which you had to earn that chat. You had to earn Success Club to chat with her. And I said, what if I just took a break and didn't hit Success Club so that I could work on my book. I've always wanted to write a book. And like, if I just took like 1 or 2 months to not hit Success Club, not run a challenge group. And it was like, she didn't even hear me. All she would say was, well, last year I made 3.5 million with Beachbody. So I really can't imagine doing anything else. Like I can't imagine doing anything else. And I was like, she's not even hearing what I'm saying. And so that was part of my waking up, and then watching Scientology in the aftermath. I was like, oh, hello.
Isn't that a great show? I have to say, I love that show. I'm like, I keep checking A&E to see like when it's gonna, like, when's the next season?
I haven't watched season 4. Is it out? Is season 4 out?
I'll have to look. I haven't checked it. Have I? I haven't checked it actually in a while. Now
I love it. Did you also notice similarities between that show and an MLM?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like that. I knew like Scientology was weird, but that show, I mean, Leah Remini did a good job at like really just eye-opening like what it really is about. And I'm like, that's scary. It's scary. I mean, thankfully, our upline isn't going to like, stalk us and record us outside our homes and, harass us that way. But, they created this app, right? I think somebody in the Anti-Mlm community did a video. Maybe if you find it, you can like link it. But a video on, I know Savannah Marie did, but I think someone else also did a video on it, on an app that uplines can use for have their coaches or their downline use. And your team can basically use this app, which costs a fee for each month. But it's a way to kind of like schedule your day, go out and look for people, cold messaging, or who you contacted, who you follow up on, and it's constantly giving you reminders. Again, time boundary issues. But it's also a way for the upline to see exactly what you're doing. And it's like that seeing eye, It's like what do they call that?
Yeah.
Big Brother.
Invasion of privacy. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they can go in and they can see exactly what their downline is doing and what they're not doing, and like start hounding them.
It's disgusting.
At least with Facebook Messenger or Instagram DMs, it's like they can reach out and like say like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Or whatever it is in their back office that they can see. But like that app scares me. It's like that's major Big Brother boundary, invasion of privacy, like you said.
It's so disgusting. And like that type of behavior is encouraged. Like the higher up you get, you're always told like, check on your downline, make sure that they're doing these activities, reach out to them, see if they need help. Everything's always done under the guise of like helping them succeed and helping customers succeed. But it's really just making more profit for the MLM.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I didn't like when I was reviewing my lessons. They're like, and just remember, and it was like really trying to talk about getting Success Club, try to reach 3 to 5 people. Remember, you're helping them. And it's just like, I'm helping myself. Like, because I could just sell the, workout program, and they don't need Shakeology for that. They don't need like the combination of the challenge pack or Shakeology Home Direct to reach their fitness goals. And this, being a nutritionist, you don't need it. You need to be mindful of what you eat, have a caloric deficit of some sort, if your goal is weight loss, but you don't need, a shake, especially an overpriced shake, you just eat real food.
Yeah. And I always like to tell people like, there's nothing wrong with getting a workout program or having a meal replacement shake. Like I still drink them, not Shakeology. I love Shakeology. If it wasn't through Beachbody, I would probably still be drinking it, but I refuse to support them. But so I'm like, there's nothing wrong with those things if you want to add them in to what, to a healthy lifestyle to lose weight or gain muscle. The problem is that's not all you're getting with Beachbody. It's so insidious, and there's a whole rabbit hole of darkness that opens up.
Yeah. Which people wouldn't know until they're in it,
Yes, absolutely. What would you have in closing? You have been wonderful. What would you give advice to others if they were like, thinking about leaving an MLM or just getting out and feeling like, what advice would you offer them from your experience?
Well, I definitely feel that people who are curious about what it is that they're really into, not to necessarily go to their upline for advice, because they're just going to get, all of the good, you just need to work on personal development and that whole thing. Really just, open your eyes to the actual like resources that show legitimate facts and figures regarding the MLM business, reach out to your family members if they're not involved in the MLM themselves, of course, like knee deep in it or neck deep in it.
Yeah.
Find somebody that you can confide in on what you're feeling, and then, leave. I mean, I personally didn't tell my coach that I was leaving, but there was communication there that I would be pulling back, and that can be just the initial step. But there is a huge community out there for people who are ready to leave, that will embrace you and not shun you and be just, celebrate that you're making an independent decision for like true freedom, because being part of MLM is not being free at all, as they heard in just my testimony and yours. It's like a prison of being in constant connection with, social media, posting, personal development. There's no such thing as this time freedom that they're talking about.
No, because there's always something more you could do.
Yeah.
Always. Absolutely.
Always.
Good advice.
So, yeah. If they are thinking about leaving or ready to leave, like, reach out to one of us, here in the Anti-MLM community, because we'll be happy to help them with resources that they need, and just, embrace their decision. Because
show them love. Absolutely. Like, we're not gonna bite you or anything. We were there.
Right.
We know how exhausting it is, and I mean, like, I think what you said is good. Like, don't talk to your upline or somebody who's in it with you, because you're not going to get an unbiased answer.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that, these people that are in MLMs that are really still believing in the business, they're going to call us like haters and say that we're, we are biased against them and everything. But it's like, we've seen, us ex-MLMers have seen both ways. But it's also, even people who have not been in it they still do their due diligence and look at research and look at the statistics that other people have, posted on the internet. It's out there. But when you're involved in MLM, they don't want you to look that up. Like you said, they're not gonna show the label so that you can do your own research on a product. They're gonna hide the label, the brand, and have you contact them and see how you're interested, so that they can have control over the narrative.
That's the thing, is control. And what I think that people don't realize, when you're in and you're going, trying to build this business, you don't realize that, like, it will never be enough. Everything you do will never be enough. It just, not in their eyes.
So it's like, do you want this lifestyle that is all smoke and mirrors that's posted on social media? Or do you actually want to live life? You might not have like the best 9-to-5 job, but there's like, I like to say, there's nothing wrong with stability, where you don't have to recruit somebody in order to get that paycheck.
Yeah. And if you want an online business and to earn more income, there are so many online things that you can do.
Yeah. That doesn't involve recruiting people, unethical business practices.
Right. Well, thank you for being here, Amanda. Please tell everyone where they can. I'll link your channel below, but go ahead and tell everyone like where they can find you and your channel.
Yeah, so my channel is Amanda Mick. I know a lot of people say Amanda MC because it's spelled like that, but my last name's McQueen, so I say Mick. But it's Amanda Mick, and my Instagram is Amanda Fit and Healthy. And if you want to, my Instagram information is on my YouTube channel if you just want to post my YouTube.
Perfect. And what's your favorite Anti-MLM Facebook group?
Anti-MLM by an ex-humbot by Monica.
Yeah. I love her group. I love it.
I've been involved. I was actually involved in like another one, and I actually ended up leaving it after just a few days of joining it, because I really feel like the Monica's group is more respectful. It's not so insulting to the people who are still involved in it. Like, we can be like side-eyeing these posts and like kind of make fun of certain things, but I feel like in general, it's just a more respectful group all around, like more mature maybe. I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, there's a difference between calling somebody an idiot or a victim. And that's what I felt like because I did the same thing. I joined a really, really big anti-MLM group on Facebook. And then I was just like, this sucks. Like, they're making me feel bad for my time in it. Not that I shouldn't feel bad, but it was like, they're basically making fun of these people and not realizing that like these people don't really know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah. And they deserve respect, compassion, grace, just like anybody else in the world right now. So.
Exactly. Thank you so much for being here.
No
I had so much fun.
pressure.
Tell your husband or your fiance he can get back to the weed whacking and
Like, you can mow now.
I'll tell my husband he can come back inside now.
You're like holding his knee.
Right. Thank you for being here. Have a great one.